This year, I started a $100,000 account. I want to break down where that account is. So I was able to take my $100,000 account and drive it up to $220,000 up until now. I want to break down everything from what trades I've taken, my entries, my exits, my setups, my game plans, and just give you guys the full rundown of every single trade in that account, and just also walk you through the psychological background of what is involved to take certain positions, take certain trades, and how to actually navigate through the market, no matter how much money you're starting with, how much money you're not starting with, and just kind of focus on the key elements of the trading process. So with that being said, let's dive in. All right, guys. So as mentioned, I started the account with about $100,000 and had a drawdown to $87,000, and then was able to grow to $217-ish. Currently at $213. This is my broker account. You guys can see $213 over here. Same drawdown, same everything. And then when I go into my trading account, same exact thing. You guys can see $113,000 profit year to date. The reason I show that, just for transparency purposes, I understand people are going to see and be like, well, how do we know it's real? So once that's out the way, or because that's out the way, let's go into the agenda of what we are focusing on. So what I want to focus on is I want to focus on my mindset of growing the account, the setups, my playbooks, mistakes I've made, because obviously I've made a lot of mistakes, lessons I've learned, and where I currently am and like what I plan to do moving forward. So as mentioned, this is my trading data for this year, right? So let's just kind of go through it. Started, first trade was January 27th, right? Had a drawdown, as I mentioned, about a negative $12,000 drawdown. Account went all the way down to $87,000, and then was able to build this account to $217 to $212, which it's currently at now. Took a total of 50 trades, 60% win percentage, 4.77 profit factor. My day win percentage was 70%, had a total of about 20 trading days. So all this year I've traded is about 20 trading days. As you guys can see, not super active. The reason for that is I've had multiple other projects and things I have been involved in, so haven't been able to fully day trade. And then average win-loss, I've made about $5,000 per trade, lost about $1,600. So I have a 3.06 average win-loss trade ratio. In terms of percentage-wise, once again, I made about 112% on this account alone, right? So just want to get that out of the way. Now, let's start from the beginning, right? That's what I want to start over, right? I'm going to walk you guys through the trades I've taken, what happened, how I was able to build momentum, and then I'll go into, as mentioned, some of my setups, some lessons, some mistakes, and things like that. So one thing that I've always struggled with is whenever I start a new account or I start a new year, I've always realized that I have a hard time finding consistency early on. And the reason I think I have a hard time finding that consistency is because when there's a new account, and I'm pretty sure you guys go through the same thing, is I have a hard time just kind of like, because I don't have a cushion, so I have a hard time with like the ideology of I don't have any money I can lose, if that makes sense. So I start off, it's always zero. So it's like, hey, how do I build that cushion? So for me, building the cushion is the most important part. And I realize sometimes I get really hesitant, or I chase too hard of trying to build that cushion. So if you guys take a look here, the first trade I've taken for the year, I lost $6,000 right out the gate. I go on the next trade, $1,600, next trade, $5K. So like the first three trades I've taken, I was already down $12,500 about, right? So, it's kind of like a mindset, psychological thing of you're just trying to overtrade, trying to build a cushion, trying to be right, whatever the case is. And these are the time periods where massive drawdowns happen. I've seen traders, and this has happened to me too early in my career, where I would go on a complete tilt and just blow my account. I've seen people just destroy their account at this point. Me, took some time off, regained myself, focused on the market, told myself here are my setups, and when I find these setups, I'm going to trade. My first big day, or day that gave me a break, was on the 23rd, made about 30 grand this day, and we'll go through the trades in a bit. Making 30 grand allowed me to just have that comfortability to now start having momentum. So as you guys can see, first big day, have momentum. The momentum carries over into the next couple of days,
And as the momentum carries on to the next couple of days, I'm just able to have some sort of rhythm. And you can even see some of my days, like, make 10K, 35K, and then I go to $300, make 20K, no trades these days, lose some money, lose some money, lose some money. So it's all over the place in terms of my profits, my losses. And the reason for that is, once again, I'm taking what I believe the market is giving me based on my playbooks, based on my setups, based on what I am looking for. So I'm just taking advantage of that. Then obviously, as I start trading, traveled, wasn't really able to trade during this time period. Same thing around here. April, completely off. And then now May, I'm trying to pick things up. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the trading aspect. Now, going on to my trades that I started off with, this is my first trade of the year. Like I said, I lost $6,000. Going on to my next few trades, losing about $1,600, and then the next day losing about $4,000. Complete red slump. Now, the first question is, how do you get yourself out of this? So if you start a new account or you're trading in general, guys, this is something you want to recognize very, very quick. You want to be able to recognize these patterns. You want to be able to recognize these problems and identify that, hey, I'm in a red slump. I'm in a losing period. So what I did here is I really narrowed down into just recognizing that, hey, it's not my trading that's the problem. It's me more so on a psychological level where I'm trying to put on trades just to put on trades because I'm starting a new account, and the moment my account had a drawdown and I'm red, I've started trying to make that money back. So here I had to reground myself mentally and be like, listen, you have to just trade what the market gives you. And also this year has not, I don't want to say it hasn't been the easiest. It's just been different, right? So it's just waiting for the opportunity, waiting to see what the market gives me, waiting to see when, I'm able to find a setup. And that comes on to this day, which is the first day I have taken a trade. So that's what I want to go into, which is my first set of good day, essentially, right? So I start this day off, make $258, go into my next trade. I'm able to make $16,000. Also, keep in mind, I'm transitioning a little bit into futures this year, and I've been trading options. So futures and options, same move, but the price in terms of size and comfortability is a big wall that I'm trying to fight. So you'll see a lot of future trades and a lot of option trades, and the option trades obviously did a lot better. So this is my first trade that I was able to do extremely well on. This trade, I made $16,000, right? And let's just kind of go here and just look at some of this as well, just so we have like the log aspect open, right? So first day I was able to make, as I mentioned, $16,000. And that $16,000, what I want to go through here is I want to go through the setup, my game plan, all that stuff, right? So what happened this day ultimately is I have traded the gap, hold, and go play, essentially, right? So this is a playbook. This is one of my strategies, one of my focus points I have as a trader. And I think every trader should build a playbook. And I have a video breaking that down. If you go down on my YouTube channel, you'll see how to build your trading playbook or trading strategy. I highly recommend you watch that and just go through it and build your set of playbooks. Here are some of my playbooks that I have, and I just kind of go through, and I'll go through this with you guys in a bit. But before we go through these playbooks, I want to just kind of focus on this trade a little bit. So this trade, as mentioned, made $16,000, 30%, invested $53,000, made a 2R trade. You can see the drawdown on this trade was $5,600. I was down $5,600 at a point, maximized this trade with $16,000. So what happened here? So here I took 401 calls. I traded options, and my playbook or my setup here was gap, hold, and go. Now, when you guys, by the way, side note, when you guys see this strategy of my gap, hold, and go, which I'll break down in a bit, you'll see all the trades that I've taken that fall into this playbook are consistent, right? So this is what I typically look for in a gap, hold, and go. I am looking for the market, right, to have a higher opening than the yesterday's session or yesterday's close or the previous close. So this day we closed here. The next opening session we open here. So we had a gap up. The moment we have a gap up, me as a trader, I love gap up or gap down days because I think they present opportunities for myself and other traders, but I enjoy them. So the moment we get a gap up, what I like to identify is I like to identify where we're gapping up or gapping down to. Here, we are gapping up into a key zone. This is a very, very interesting key zone for me. You guys can see I also highlighted the line orange. For me, that inflects a very strong demand or supply zone, extreme key inflection point for me. And, we opened up right above it. We opened up right in it. So now my job is to identify the big question mark is, do we have strength here? Do we have momentum here? Are we able to hold this area for long enough or no? So the moment we gap up, I start identifying this. And if I'm able to identify strength in that demand zone, if I'm able to identify buyers are aggressive, I would typically go long, and then I would try to identify if the strength changes, if, buyers aren't present. If they're not, I'll start adjusting my position. So that's where I start looking for this setup or strategy or playbook, right? So obviously what happens is, just to go into the trade, we open up, I take on a position, we push down, and then we start rallying, holding on into that demand zone the whole time. Now, if you look at my running P&L, just to look at my minute by minute trade, you can see at one point I was up 2,000, then I'm down 2,400, then I'm up 3,200, then I'm down 800, I'm down 4,000. This is all tracked on TradeZella, by the way, and then you can see the P&L slowly starts going higher. Now, this trade, the things that I made a mistake on, and that's something else I like to go through, is I entered super early. You guys can see where I entered, right? I entered extremely, in my opinion, early. I think my entry point should have been in this area, or I should have added more in this area, right? Because going back to this day, I was able to read strong amounts of demand in this area. But because I was essentially red for the year or wasn't confident enough, I didn't add in this zone. And you can see how this trade starts going up. And then I want to just show you guys something really quick, right? So see how this fits into like my gap hold and go play. If I go on to my gap hold and go for the year, I made $51,000, like 50% of my profits just on this one, I guess, strategy, if you want to call it. And then if I go through all of these trades, right? The trade I showed you right here is a 16,000. Let's say I show you this trade. Okay, watch the great part about this. Look, same exact thing. We gap up, we hold in that key inflection point, and we rip, right? Look at this, right? We go here, we gap up, we hold that key inflection point, and we rip. Gap up, hold inflection point, and rip. Same exact stock, same exact index, or whatever you want to call the security, right? SPY, same exact thing. Look, 2 different days, same strategy, happened again, right? And I know it amazes some people, but it's like something that if you can pay attention to identifying this, like some sort of playbook that you can just track, you'll see that these actions or patterns happen over and over again. And if you can recognize them and execute them, you won't find them every day, but if you can execute and focus on them, you'll be able to make money, 4 or 5 days out of the month with high quality setups. Here, I go to another one. So you will see same exact thing. Have a picture? Yep. You can see same exact thing, right? We gap. And it's really interesting. We gap. This is yesterday's close. Today's open, right? Gap, hold inflection zone, are able to hold this area, and we start ripping. Same exact thing, which is like absurd. And just one strategy made 50 grand out of the $112,000 profit, made 50% of the profit in that whole period, right? Just to give context, right? And these are the same exact, I don't want to say same exact thing, but it's like, okay, we have different setups, but this is the one day that gave me that momentum. And I'll talk about that too in a little bit. Then we go to the next trade for that day, right? Another setup, right? And I just want to open this up. We go here. This trade made about 14,000, 70% on the trade playbook, right? Midday reversal sell-off. So this is the same day, right? So interesting thing about this, right? And for people watching, I know you guys, some of you guys know my morning top strategy. We start identifying a level, a supply zone. Supply zone has some weakness. We find some imbalance in action. If we're able to identify some imbalance in action, there's a typically good short plays there. So this is the same day where I was able to capitalize on this gap and hold play. We gap up, we hold in the key zone, and we rip. I capitalized on this. I missed this trade because once again, I have my first good trade, and then I take on my second trade for the day. When we see this rejection and we go back into the same demand zone, if the same strength is not there in the demand zone the first time, I am able to capitalize on a particular short. That is what I did this day, right? If you look at my entries, exits, yada, 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 let's just go through that really, really quick, right? Let's go right here. Enter this trade. We push down. I enter around this 401 area. We push down, take some off. It goes right back up into that, demand supply zone, if you want to call it. And then we start fading again. A few things with this trade. Overall did well, but also keep in mind this trade was in a drawdown, went up, made $6,900, then went back to 1,000, and then eventually started going in my direction. So like I said, if you look at the playbooks and setups on these trades, a lot of them are very, very consistent. So going back to this day, as mentioned, this is the day that gave me quote unquote my big break, right? Days like this is what can also make and break you. So what I was talking about earlier here, I was on like a slump. I picked that slump up from here. This is what kind of got me green again. And now you get challenged again. Do you take that green? Do you go off tilt? Do you let that green instill the right, proper confidence within you that you need? Or how do you let that handle you? And if you look at me, what I was essentially able to do is I was able to build in momentum, right? Ride that momentum out going into the next day, going into the next month, and just be on a strong streak. Not anything crazy, staying within a range, right? Break even for the day, make 10,000, make 35,000, 377, 20,000 as the market presents an opportunity. No trade, lose 2,000, 6,000, $100, 1,600, negative 4,000, 5,000 bucks, $400, 200, 552 red, and that's essentially it. So that's been my trading so far, right? Now, as I was talking about Playbook, what I recommend you guys to do, and I have a whole video on it, as mentioned before, is have a playbook. Have your playbooks that have a criteria, tag all your setups, go into your playbook and see what is working, what is not working, right? So when I go into my playbooks, I'm able to see, wow, my opening sell-offs haven't been working so well. I have had no win rate, no success with them. I've lost $5,000, right? My midday reversal, I made money, but my win rate is very, very low. So I'm able to go into these setups and see what is happening, what is working, what are the trades that I've taken that are working, that aren't working. I'm able to go deeper into it. The next thing I like to do is I like to go through, monthly or weekly. I like to go through all these trades and just get a good idea of, hey, do I have, any sort of setup? Do they fit a playbook? Do they not fit a playbook? What is happening with these trades? What is my size on these trades? What's my R multiple? What did I risk on this trade? Did I hit what I risked? So if I look at this trade, I risked $1,000, but I lost $2,400. So obviously I did not follow my stop. So I like to look at that level of consistency just to understand. Same thing with playbooks, right? So it just gives me that sort of context. Now, just to wrap things up, as mentioned, started with 100, I'm at 200,000, yada, yada, yada. I'm not in the business of trying to grow account. I don't want to grow my account and be like, oh my God, I want to grow this account and flip accounts. No, I'm a trader. I want to trade opportunity. So where I am currently and what my plan is. So as mentioned earlier, I haven't been trading a lot this year, been very inconsistent. I plan to pick the pace up starting this week or next week, so on, in terms of identifying opportunity, in terms of putting on size and positions. And I'm just going to see what the market gives me. I don't have a goal where I want to grow this. If I want to grow this to 1 million, 2 million, I don't know. I'm just going to trade what the market gives me. I'm also going to make a withdrawal soon, maybe of 50,000 bucks, right? I don't know yet, maybe 50,000. And then when it grows more, I'll maybe take out 100. I like to pay myself. I haven't paid myself yet. So if you do see a drawdown here for 50,000, that is going to be me paying myself. And like I said, my idea of doing this is just to show you guys the progress of one account the whole year. Because every time I've done videos like this, I'll do it mid-year without giving context. But I want to kind of record the whole journey this year just to give you guys context on everything. So I will make a follow-up video in a month or 2 months just to show you where the update is, where the progress is. With that being said, comment down below. Let me know where you guys are. What are you guys struggling with this year? How has trading been in 2023 for you? And, if there's any way I can help, I'll make videos, I'll make content, I'll break things down. With that being said, just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And like I said, I will update you guys in the upcoming weeks or months on how this account or my trading is going again.